Hi folks, here to talk about the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D, the one from last week, of course. So if you haven't seen it and are planning to, please don't watch this because I'm going to be talking about, all the, revelations and what have you, as such as they were. Spoilers, lots of spoilers coming up. So I just got finished rewatching it, and I really wasn't looking forward to doing that because I didn't really like the episode overall very much. Weakest episode. Of course, it still is better than Janestown, my least favorite episode from Serenity, which I also rewatched a couple days ago. Just darn clumsy, that episode. It has some funny stuff in it, but mostly it's pretty bad. And on rewatching it, I realized basically the part of the episode that I really reacted negatively to was the scene when the gang gathers back on the plane after the mission and they have some pretty terrible dialogue with each other. Except, of course, for Simmons, when Fitz asks her, "Has anything happened exciting to you?" And she says, "I shot a superior officer in the chest." So that was one of the highlights there. So we had an episode last week which focused more on Simmons than on Fitz, or any of the other team members, I suppose. She sort of took center stage, at least in the second half of the episode, because she had the problem with the alien virus, the Chitauri virus. Fitz is sort of the guy who steps up to the plate, takes a lot of the focus in this episode, because it's him and Ward going on the mission behind enemy lines to disable this device that they're looking for before a separatist terrorist type organization can use it to disable the weapons of the people that would, stop them. So it, wasn't exactly subtle the way it was all handled. With Simmons, it's like she sort of accidentally, something happens to her, which is why she becomes the focus of the episode, her character. But that wasn't really the case this time around. They pick him because he's a tech expert to go in with Ward behind enemy lines, despite the fact that he doesn't have any combat training. And there are some clever ways in which he helps Ward. But yeah, overall it just felt a little bit forced to me. We had the usual business with Skye not trusting anybody and wanting to get information on her own, which ends up helping Ward and Fitz. So she's forgiven for that. At least she is by Coulson. Coulson has a really good scene with the Agent Hand, played by Saffron Burrows. I actually read a review of this episode a couple days after on a website. They were complaining about Saffron Burrows' American accent, and I gotta say, she does speak a little unnaturally here. I don't know why she just couldn't use her regular English accent, or, maybe they could have cast someone who was actually American if they needed an American person. I understand the character is actually one that pops up in the comic book series, Agent Hand. So I guess she's supposed to be American, and they had to cast an English actress and have her speak American, which she wasn't totally successful doing. But that was a good scene where he finds out from Skye about the lack of an extraction for Ward and Fitz, and goes to confront her about it. And he also has a scene, of course, at the end where he is inquiring about his own recovery, everything like that, but he's blocked from accessing the documents. So now he's starting to get a little suspicious, because apparently it would take a direct intervention from Fury, from Samuel Jackson, who, by the way, was in a commercial right after the episode was over, at least on the on-demand program that I saw. In order to find out some of the secrets about his recovery, there was that moment where he's talking with Hand, and she mentions how lucky he was to be in Tahiti, and he automatically goes, "It's a magical." Why do I keep saying it's a magical place anytime anybody ever brings up me being in Tahiti? So he's starting to get suspicious there, so that's cool. The very beginning, you have a couple of agents dragging along a hooded guy who's in a suit and tie, and I'm thinking, that's gotta be Coulson, right? I mean, he doesn't wear anything except for his suit and tie. So before they pulled the hood off, I pretty much knew it was him. When Simmons goes into the restricted area to access the wall panel, I believe the computer says, "Say cheese," when she's has her face up to the scanner to be, you know, scanned so she'll be let in. I missed that the first time around. Let's see, other problems I had with this episode. There was Fitz looking at the x-ray sheet. He puts the x-ray sheet up to the wall and sees the guards on the other side, and he sees a third person come in and start beating up the other guys. I'm like, oh, he doesn't realize that Ward isn't there anymore. But in order for Ward to actually get there, we've had to go through the door, which would have made noise when it opened, because it makes noise when he opens it again to tell Fitz to come through. I'm just like, come on, he didn't get through that door without it, clicking or something like that. You know, it's just a little clumsy there. Also, the gang, when they first arrive at the hub, that's the name of the episode, the central area for all these S.H.I.E.L.D. missions. Fitz and Simmons and Skye don't go into the level 7 area. And Fitz isn't level 7 as far as I know, he's level 5. I think that they mentioned that at one point in the episode. There are these sliding doors that he... Wait a minute, no, I might be mixed up about that, because Simmons goes in there later, on her own, without any, tinkering. So I guess he's able to go in there as well. But there's this silly gag with him trying to push a cart through glass doors and it won't open, that kind of thing. Just kind of silly. I wasn't all that big on that. There's the scene in the beginning where May opens a hatch. She climbs up on this ladder and there's this hatch that she actually sort of physically spins her whole body in order to open the thing, in order to turn the crank to open it. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, how can she actually do that if she's not actually touching anything? She has to push herself off or something in order to spin like that. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, didn't care for this episode overall. There's some good stuff in it, but mostly, I wasn't all that crazy about it. I like how Fitz managed to get the electrics in the Russian bar to shut down on their own. Apparently he had a personal EMP device which he used, which he wasn't supposed to have on him, because there are like no weapons, no electronics. You have to be, totally clean of all that stuff in order to go on the mission. But he brought it anyway so he could pull it out at a moment's notice, which apparently he needed it for, so that's a lucky coincidence. Yeah, there was a kind of a funny moment after he disables the device, or he looks at the device, basically, they have to disable. He looks at all the wires everywhere, he says, this is going to take some time, and Ward says, you've got 10 minutes. And Fitz says, I'll do it in 5, something like that. That was alright. But all in all, not a really great episode, not one of my favorites so far. It doesn't beat the I.Spy episode, that's for sure. That one is kind of my favorite so far, and Physicist was pretty good. What else? Yeah, I had a lot of... I'm just going back over some of my notes here on the other ones. Probably my favorite episode so far is I.Spy, with the girl with the camera in her eye. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Of course, there's another one airing tomorrow evening, which, if I understand correctly, has a direct tie into Thor: The Dark World, the new Thor movie that just opened. So obviously you'll get more out of the episode if you've seen the movie, as I have. So when I talk about that episode, I'll probably also be talking about the film, because it inevitably will deal with stuff that happens in the aftermath. It probably even take place in Greenwich, which is where the climax of Thor: The Dark World took place. So we'll see. So thank you very much for watching. The link, if you're watching this video on YouTube, the link to my Facebook page is below, where you can comment, and I can comment back, whereas I might not be able to do that on YouTube. And thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.